Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. It's so good to see you guys all hanging out tonight. It has been a long week. Hope you guys are all having a blast. To be honest, I almost slept through this. I had such a long day. I needed a grandpa nap, and I almost slept through it. I had a massive headache. I'm starting to get them as I get older. If I, do too much, and it was, 4,000 degrees outside, running around to the post office, grocery shopping, and all. Bo is juggling his phone. Hey, Dungeon Minister, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. Justin, party on, my man. Who else we got in here? The Crafting Gamer, what's happening? And as you can see, Bo has just completed his juggling routine. Next week we expect swords and chainsaws. How you doing, man?
Chain swords.
Oh, 40K all the way.
I'm a big fan of the aesthetic. Whether you like the game or Games Workshop, or I'm gonna flip you already. 1, 2, 3, or anything about it. That aesthetic of the bolt gun and chainsaw. It's the chef's kiss. I fully intend to incorporate. There we go, much better. So I want to thank everyone that watched my first ever live stream today, and especially the ones that followed me here to the Shadow Chat. You are true scholars and gentlemen for giving me some support, and also for following over here to give Shadow some support. I say that this is consistently one of the best hours on YouTube on a weekly basis. Always interesting, never boring, sometimes provocative, and always entertaining.
I'm glad I can be consistent. Hey, Dungeon Minister, my son would absolutely love to meet you one of these days. I don't know if there's anything we can do to make that happen. The little guy's playing video games with his best friend, who is about to move in and live with us for a year. Can you believe that? Yeah. He's going to finish his senior year of high school while Jackie goes into his sophomore year, and they will get to, go to school every day, do the things, Of course, that means less of him on the show, but we're working out something so, he'll still be, part of the show, but he's got to grow up and, do the things, and he wants to go off to college and, then the Air Force. So, I got to let the little bird fly, and, you'll have to just deal with just me. I know. Sorry, guys. But, hey, Brian, the link's in there. If anybody else wants to join us, we're going to be talking about alternate dimensions and realities. I wanted to do part 2 because, I monopolized a bit of last week's show. I'm talking about my buddy Roger. And I'm gonna every chance I get. He was such a great guy. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Roger Zelazny was the man. He was just an absolute incredible human being. Left us far too early, and he was just a stellar writer, and my favorite. And his thing was alternate dimensions and realities, and I could probably run this one, a six week series, but I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to get into it, and here we got Brian, who is now in the stream. What's happening, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Just chilling on a freaking Saturday night. Hope you guys aren't, inundated with, magma-esque weather.
This is scorching. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it rained pretty hard last night, like really hard.
Yeah, apparently you sent it our way, or because of the fact that I'm in the high desert and it is, like I said, 4,000 degrees. So everybody's swimming pools are now in the air, and I can actually see rain clouds coming. It happens all the time up here. We got a lot of people with swimming pools, and it gets so hot that it just says, "Guess what?"
Evaporates.
And up into the sky it goes. That's how you know how hot it is. If it
Wait.
actually rains here.
You say it's hot, and then I have to say, how hot was it?
Real hot.
And then you say something like, it's so hot, I just saw Ozzy Osbourne bite the head of a fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Yeah, we're all dads.
That's funny because I wanted to share a couple of things. I was, I don't normally go to the 99-cent store. I'm usually a Dollar Tree guy. It's closer, and the 99-cent store is now like $4.99. As I'm about to show you, but they actually had an Ozzy Osbourne toy, and I already had my hands with a bunch of stuff I don't need, and I almost bought it. I kind of now regret it because I actually met Ozzy and his wife backstage, and not even at an Ozzy concert. It was Rainbow and somebody else, Black and Blue, I think it was. It was just a bunch of weird, 80s sort of mediocre bands. And I got to meet the guys in Rainbow and a bunch of other people.
Rainbow, hell yeah. What year is this?
1984.
89, 80, no. It's probably about 86, 85, 86.
I was about to say Rainbow, that would be Dio, dude. Dio would be, because Dio took over from the original guy from Rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dio went.
I think you're wrong. But it was funny. A friend of mine who I haven't seen in decades, she called me up one Saturday. Hey, what are you doing? You want to go to a barbecue? I'm like, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. And she didn't tell me. And I'm like, got on the freeway. I'm like, so where's the freeway? I mean, where's the barbecue? And she's like, I like Irvine Amphitheater, I think it was. And I'm like, what? Really? Yeah. And she's like, oh, by the way, I got backstage passes. And I'm like, oh, check you out.
Hell yeah.
So we went back there and, did the things. I knew a lot of, I hung out with Metallica for a party. They were at a party at my house, and she brought them to my house as well. And the registers you have up towards the ceiling, where the vent, the heat comes in or the AC comes in. They were knocking the gratings off them. They were moshing so much. I kid you not. I mean, these things are 7 feet off the floor, toward like right up by the roof, and they were knocking them off the walls. Man, this was. Back when they were, because I lived in Huntington and they lived in Huntington. So did Megadeth.
Before they got old and started suing people for illegally downloading their music.
It was way before that. Yeah, way before that.
Before they sold out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Metallica fan anymore.
I'm so.
Yeah, you know what?
The Black Album is new.
Dude, the Black Album is the last album I bought. It was just like, I'm done.
I go back, I want to say Ride the Lightning or Pre-Ride the Lightning.
Sure.
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
But believe it or not, I'm more of a Megadeth fan.
So am I, dude.
Me too.
I like
totally Megadeth, man.
The conspiracy theories, all of that. Yeah. I know they're not maybe as polished, but I like that. It's got that punk feel to it, Oh
yeah, Rust in Peace is awesome, dude. Hangar 18. That's a great song.
Yep. And anytime I'm like really about to blow my top, I pop in Angry Again, and it just.
Oh yeah.
That was the last Megadeth album I bought because I'm so old. That would have been like 93.
Which one?
That was the song that was featured on the Last Action Hero soundtrack, which would have been like
that
82,
that was Angry Again. Yeah, Angry Again. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's not paying attention. So I'm just finishing up putting the earbud back together so I can.
Mobius, no. What happens is when I use the same device, my $200 rinky-dink tablet, and I video myself, it reverses everything, but I'm still on the same device. But StreamYard can get it right, but my tablet can't.
Right.
Hey, we have James L in the house. James, you want to pop in? You and always.
So before we
guys,
start, before we officially start, I want to ask Brian. So if I were going to start an alternate World War II tabletop army,
Okay.
And since Dust is pretty much is kaput, and Conflict 47 is kind of hard to find.
It's expensive.
Conflict 40. Why is Conflict 47 expensive when bolt action is relatively inexpensive?
Okay, so let me just put it to rest first. Okay, don't buy K-47 shit. Just whatever army you want to do. Let's say you were talking about Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Get a Japanese platoon of infantry from whoever you want.
Sure.
It could be 3D printed, whatever. Then just buy some like Oni like fantasy figures, or buy some zombies,
right?
Or Asian dragons, or buy some mech stuff, like anywhere you want, and then just make that your weird World War II. You don't have to buy these lines, dude.
Right.
You don't.
No, some Oni's really cool. We talked about that before. But if I were going to buy, I mean, are there any decent, any mechs with that weird Japanese aesthetic?
Oh my God, you guys are killing me tonight.
Okay, so if you go to Coveted Forge, they're one of our sponsors, but they do a line. Well, let me finish, punk ass. Listen. All of my sponsors is the only reason they're sponsors is because I love their shit. That's it. I don't push anything that I don't fucking love. But they got a line of great weird war Japanese stuff. They got like spider tanks, and it's all print stuff. So you can print it, or they'll print it for you. And this is the caveat, brother. They will print it to whatever spec you want it. 148, 156, 135, whatever you want, man.
So what you're saying is
one to one, man. I want to get in a Spider Mech.
Yeah, Spider Mech, man. Spider Mech does whatever a Spider Mech does.
I got to address a couple of these comments because you guys are on fire tonight. Justin, I absolutely love Meatloaf.
Oh, I love Meatloaf, dude.
I love
with some potatoes and some bread. Oh, it's the best.
The fact that he could score a absolute top shelf divinity like Carla DeVito. Oh my God! When I was a kid, that woman was one of the most perfect women of all time, and I'm like, oh my God, that means I got a chance like that. Oh my God! And well, that's the story for another time. And Dungeon Minister, those plastic soldiers from the comic books, I actually looked into them. You can find some of those sets on eBay.
I had them, dude.
They're like $300 a set.
When Russ Heath did the artwork for that stuff, like he did the Roman one and he did some of the World War II ones, I was like, I gotta get that shit. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, you have to buy these for me. It's 8 months later, it shows up. They're flats.
Yeah,
they're not even like 172s or anything. They're like flats. Oh man, but it was a bummer. But I had several of those sets, dude.
I would kill for the World War II battleships. Those would be the ones.
Oh yeah, I had those too.
Cardboard, just print them, just fire up your printer and print up a bunch of cardboard, and there you
go. Yeah, you know what? I've actually been looking into some of the micro battleship games that from like GHQ, I think it was, and Superior Models.
GHQ, yeah.
Because I'm a huge Superior Models fan. I've got like every spaceship they ever made. I got that weird mechanized space game they made as well, and I've got all of the Raylan, not all of the Raylan, but the pinup girl minis. They weren't minis; they were like sculptures of like 72 millimeter hotties. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
I've got John Carter. I got Conan. Each one of those is hundreds of dollars now.
Wow.
And I'm still on the hunt for a couple to finish off the lines, but that man was an absolute just master when it came to sculpting, and they're actual legitimate, and especially now, works of art. I got lucky a couple years back, and I picked up a crap ton of the ones I was missing. Of course, I gotta put them away because I can't like display them because Jackie's fruit and mom would be like.
Just to be another shill, I've got a couple of my sponsors, Brother Vinny and Manufactura, make some of the best erotic minis in the biz. Sponsors, baby.
You got them.
They're great, dude.
I even if I could get sponsors, I couldn't get sponsors because I have neither the tech nor the subs. I would need real technology before I could.
You know what you do, man? All of my sponsors, I wrote them a message like, hey, I'm a weird World War II guy. You got a cool line that I dig. You guys, all I'm asking from you is some free shit. And I'll plug your stuff, the stuff that I like, the weird war stuff that I like. I'll put it all over the boards, do a little dedicated video of the stuff that I like for the weird war. That's it, brother. That's it. I don't see any money from those guys because that's not what I want. I want to plug the weird war, and I want to get some free shit to play with and show people the stuff.
Sure.
That's all you gotta do.
I've never asked for free stuff like that. What I do is I make an order and then ask them if they mind if I review what I got from them because I'm so excited to get it and I want to show it off. And that usually, lets them know that, hey, I'm not asking for free stuff, but they send free stuff anyways, and then I thank them for the free stuff. And then I say, hey, let's do this again. I love what I got and I want to keep showing off stuff. And, my budget isn't huge, but, I will be a regular buyer. So, stay tuned. And, if you got something new, send me an ad or whatever you do, and I'll grab what I can. And, that way I'm not like, legitimately, it doesn't sound like an extortion thing. Some people especially over
dude, it's advertising, man.
No,
yeah,
I know, but
like all these guys this week that there's a new Games Workshop Kill Team set that all of the influencers and they got, and then it went on pre-order today, and it was sold out before anybody real got it except for the scalpers. And then all these guys have videos up saying, "Hey, look how cool this set is." Oh yeah, but you can't get it because it's because it sold out the minute that it went live. So I'm kind of just turned off.
I don't see how these influence guys keep getting this shit because you know what they do? They spend 5 minutes and do a box opening, right? And then it's just to the next fucking thing.
Well, a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But
there's
so many channels. I was just talking to a friend of mine, who George. I was just talking to George from Emperor's Choice, and he says hi to both of you guys. He really enjoyed talking to both of you. I was on the phone with him for 4 hours.
Right on.
Some interesting stuff is coming down the line. It's gonna be a while. James, between James L and Brian, you guys, you're sucking me in, man.
You need to start playing, dude. And I want to see some damn battle reports, dude, because, I mean, you talk a big game. You got a massive collection, brother. I need to see some die rolling from you, dude. I didn't even see it.
From the other night, I don't know if you who caught the Traveler game I ran the other day, but I'm absolutely working on it. The only problem is I got to get a whole bunch of new equipment to do a battle report.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't.
To hold the cameras, I can't get my camera person to sit there and yeah, I want to at least have like a fixed camera. You know what I mean? I've got an arm, but it sucks. I haven't been able to find a good arm for my camera. Plus, I don't know how long.
I think they war games continuously.
Oh.
But James L. He's another one who's been asking me to do some battle reports, and I really want to do that. But I also got to get the boy to actually play a game. He and I haven't played a game in I don't. It's been too long. It's been since November, I think, was the last time we played a game together. And summer's coming, and he's going to Mexico in July. I think like either end of June, beginning of July. He's going to be gone for 3 freaking weeks. So it's just going to be me here by myself. Well, actually, not really. This is the messed up thing. Jackie's friend who's coming to live with us, he's going to be getting here, and then Jackie's going to leave. So I'm going to have to babysit this guy and his mom and his sister in what was going to be my empty, quiet space.
Oh, dude. A dice block.
No shit. It's a good thing I'm not even going to go there, guys. Justin, I am not breaking those out, those figures, because it's bad enough when I die, they're going to find them. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, what the hell? It's worse than an actual porn collection because it's made out of metal. You know what I mean? Because I've also got some pretty risque figures in 25 millimeter. Because I used to buy all kinds of collections. I still do. And I would strip them of paint or whatever. I just
strip them.
Right. And I came across, I think it was Gentleman something or other collectibles, and there's some freaking crazy poses. I'm just going to put it that way.
I got you beat, brother. I got you. When we're off camera, when we don't want to ruin your rep, we'll talk, dude.
And I was like, I can't sell them because eBay won't let me sell them. You know what I mean? Without putting like little dots and stuff.
Oh shit.
Or lines. And I'm like, well, I know they're worth a fortune. I've seen them elsewhere. I'm like, well, I'll just, eventually.
It's so funny that our culture is so uptight. We can have these open games of everybody murdering each other, people on fire, heads on tanks, people sliding down, spears. But my God, if you show a boob or a crotch, dude, it's beyond the pale.
Well, I think it's one thing to show a boob or a crotch, but it's when several of them connect in miniature form. That's when I think they have the right to draw the line to say, if it's one person, that's fine. You got a group, and a dwarf and a donkey or something in miniature form. I really totally understand.
Hey,
I'm totally exaggerating. Totally exaggerating. But this is a great idea, dude. Check this out. Live stream Shadow and Son versus DM James and Hungar.
Oh, there you go.
That would be epic. That would father and son versus brother and brother. I can see it now, man. I don't know what we'd play. Probably BattleTech, and you'd watch us get our asses handed to us. But I think it would be fun.
It's about the game. It's not about who wins or loses, man.
You know what? I used to play Epic Space Marines, and I quit because I went through like a 20-game winning streak against all my friends. Same thing with Necromunda. I put the time and work into it. I'd plan and I'd strategize, and they just whip up an army and go, all right, let's play. And I'm like, we give each other 24 hours to get paint jobs and things like that all ready to go. And I would just like, okay, he's going to have this. I'm going to do this. And I just stomp him in like 2 or 3 turns. And just like, this is not fun for you. And it's really not fun for me. Because
it's like you're bringing me down, dude. You're making me beat you. What's wrong with you? I'm not having any fun. I'm crushing you.
well, see, with that particular game, buying metal miniatures versus the plastic was a big deal. Metal pieces were better. Plastic infantry is going to do nothing against rows of artillery and better vehicles. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. I bought good stuff, like this thing right here, my Imperial Capital. This is a piece of junk. You know what I mean? But against infantry, it'll just mow them over, and then it pops out its own infantry, and stuff like that. So, and the same thing with I would I practiced and I would, not practice, but I would strategize and, read the books over and over again. And, you know, it kind of sucked. But
I have a question, Brian.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
What is the impetus or catalyst for the divergent timeline that causes a weird World War II situation? Is it a situation where like Tesla's machines are actually built? Is it a situation like where there's like I don't know, like weird stone falling from the sky, like Gloomhaven, not Gloomhaven, like Mordheim? What is causing? What causes the weird World War II?
This is it, man. It's completely up to you. I mean, it could be
No,
to
for
the.
you.
For me.
When you want to do a narrative game, what causes the narration? What causes the narration?
Yeah, Brian. Say hi to me.
Like in my timeline, certain technology has always existed. Like mechs are part of normal tech. I don't go into the, it's just part of it. But there's like aspects like we did a battle report where the okay, so there, and this is completely, guys, this is completely off the cuff. I was watching like YouTube videos of like what is it, the movie tone, the old movie tone, news reels or whatever, and there was an instance in like 38 where King of England it was the first time he went to North Ireland. Okay, hadn't been there yet since his crowning, and I watched this, and there was a scene in that news thing where like they're talking about the king, and he goes to this area, and then there's like, and then an unfortunate event happened, stop, and then they go, one of the cars of the cavalcade like crushed somebody's like garden or something funny, but it was at that point that I did an edited video that there was an uprising by the IRA, and then there you go. Just right. That video caused a huge like alternative where like when the king was with the king and queen are there, the IRA rise up, there's an assault, and then we played out a game, and guess what? The IRA are puppets to some higher nefarious being, and what happens in our game is the king is killed and his body is recovered by the evil. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but all of that weird World War II completely stemmed from watching that newsreel. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make something happen. And that's what it is, man. It doesn't have to be this huge event, and it could be a real life event that you just twist and turn it into your world.
Because Shadow says that when he does alternate realities, he never plays on Earth. He likes to play science fiction games or fantasy games that are devoid from Earth. And the reason I asked is because I was wondering how you made an alternate reality if there was no reality to begin with. And what makes the alternate reality
I look at it as that. The fact that there's humans, that's like, for me, that's like a start. I'm going.
Uh-oh.
We
lost Shadow again.
He froze.
I'm blaming the Illuminati and the FBI.
I don't know. It's probably some like evil desert creature chewing on his cables or something.
See, what else could it be? Spirits of dead ancestors.
That's it. Hey, you're on an Indian burial. They only move the headstones, man.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Dude, that's great. One of Tobe Hooper's best, man.
Well, what was his other one? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did what are some other? He did the remake of Invaders from Mars.
Oh, I love that. That was a good one.
That was great. Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff.
I want more weird. I want more weird in my games. I'm telling.
It's honestly, man. What you do is like I started in 1930. And then I just I've read, and what's cool about World War II is you read all this crazy, you read just straight historical, and then you just bend it, and you just manipulate it. So
what is the catalyst? I'm thinking about things like what if Napoleon won the Battle of Trafalgar, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one, because that would change Europe for the next 100 years.
Well,
Britain with no navy could have been completely geographically isolated from the rest of the world.
wasn't Trafalgar against the Spanish, or was
No,
it the
no, no.
French?
Trafalgar, was it Trafalgar? The where it was
He lost his eye.
that was the British, where the Admiral Nelson got killed, right?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
where it was in Spain. It was off the coast of Spain, and it was
He was fighting the
France and
French, and
allied Spain against what's that?
he sank the French fleet there. That
Yeah,
was, or not the
and he
French,
died
the
'cause he got
Spanish fleet. The Spanish
he got
fleet.
shot down by a Marine, I think, because Lord Nelson refused to not wear all of his medals, all of his great coat with all of his, star of whatever and all of his medals on it. That was just sniper bait. And he got killed, but the British still won the war, or won the naval battle, which set everything up for the British to win in Portugal, Spain, and France. So
Yeah.
it's just a good example. What if there's something, so I'm thinking about, like I said, this game that I want to run is sort of an alternate, like War of the Roses, or British Civil War, where what if another faction would have won, and then just
Well, I think you missed one of my remarks. Is you were talking about the Inquisition, kind of like the King stuff. What if you went to Spain goes to the New World, and the New World isn't populated by native cultures? It's populated by demons and monsters.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's a weird war. You find these new continents, and they're not human. They're like, these monsters, or maybe the cultures of those areas were, they were infested with, Cthulhu-ish stuff, and they all turned. So the Inquisition's like, this can't stand on our world. Let's go in and burn it all out. And there you go. There's a weird war.
Like an English version of the Inquisition, where it's puritanical, like Solomon Kane guys going off. And now the third part of that, this game is told in three parts. The first part is in a far, far future. And then the second part is in an alternate 16th century. And then the third part is in an alternate Bronze Age, where it's a Bronze Age Mesoamerica, where the players sort of apocalypto. They've got to go to this evil city, this Hyperborean city with pyramids in Mesoamerica, and fight eldritch demons.
Dude, that company I was telling you about, Coveted Forge, they just released some Aztec like minis, and they are phenomenal, dude. That's something right up your way, man. You could do like the Aztecs are coming in to purge some sort of evil that's starting to spread. And maybe because of those cultures, the Aztecs and the Tolmites and all, or whatever, they vanish. Maybe they vanish for a reason. Maybe they weren't able to contain that evil.
It's an alternate reality, right? So reality doesn't matter, but the players start out in a village that has a tin mine. And you have to have tin to harden your bronze.
There you go.
Tin and copper. So they are guarding this tin mine, and they don't really understand why their weapons are better than everyone else. But then, like Apocalypto, like the city guys just come in and slaughter the whole village, lead them off into slavery, seize the tin mine. The player characters escape being captured, but then have to go back into the city and meet some half-naked priestesses and kill some snake gods. I want my games to be pulpy, right?
Oh, definitely, dude.
So I guess we are running the show because Shadow is not here, and I don't know if we are still live or not.
Yeah,
we're going to assume.
What happened? No, you left. Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weird World War II in place of the Shadow and Sun show. So this ugly mug will try to hold this feed to the high standards that our predecessors, tried to have it. So what are we going to talk about tonight? It's my show. We rule the world. No, but yeah, so everybody left except me, man. So if you guys want to rap about something, let's say, oh man, I hope I'm not the next one to be like offed or something. But yeah, so we're talking about alternative realities, guys, right? So it doesn't have to be like really heavy. If you're doing some sort of like, this is a sci-fi setting, right? You can like Star Wars, man. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Sorry, guys. I've got to get new internet. I don't know how you buy a new internet.
I took over. I was.
want to get James in here.
I'm on the show.
Justin, what's up, buddy?
Justin.
Hey.
And James L. Hopefully he will come back and join us because he tried getting in right as my crap just fell apart.
No. It's because you tried to bring me on the show. I took credit for it already.
It's
my fault.
It's because he's upset the Illuminati.
Duct tape only goes so far, dude.
Who said I wasn't the Illuminati?
His internet is a can of string.
What's up, dude?
Hey, fellas. How's it going?
If you guys haven't met James L., this guy is the equivalent of a drive-by sniper when it comes to comedy. Is one of my absolute favoriteest people in the whole wide world.
He also has one half of every miniature ever produced.
One.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys need to do like on my channel. I have like shit on my table every Monday, right? And I showcase or I show you what I'm working on. I want to see some of these collections, guys.
Well,
Speaking of which, Bo, look what I got here. Look what I got here, Bo.
What is it? Robots?
His friend, that darn cat, clued me into these Buzz Lightyear. I freaking hate Disney, but these Buzz Lightyear. Here, let me see if I can.
They're all on clearance.
Yeah,
$4.99. That's clearance.
Yeah, I know, but it's got these two drop pods with the equivalent of like a Space Marine sized miniature. I kind of measured them, and now I've got
in
four drop pods for $10, and four goofy looking Cylon knockoff wannabe robots for whatever. I don't know yet, but when that darn cat showed them, I'm like, you know what? I want those. I was looking at the Buzz Lightyear stuff, and it's like the ships look cool. I'm not gonna lie, they're not quite 25 or 28 mil, but these will work for Space Marine drop pods or Starship Trooper drop pods or Martian drop pods or whatever I want to turn them into. And for $250 a pop, yeah, I'll grab those. I also got this to remind me of Mage's Musings.
No.
It's just a aquarium decoration, but I was out shopping. That's what I do is I grab weird crap, except it's got all the sort of Mexican hieroglyphics on it.
That's okay.
But for $3, yeah, I'm gonna grab it. Are you kidding me? So I got my own little Demi Lich.
You know what my impulse buy last month was, and it's World War II related. I actually got some green plastic army men.
Oh, the classics.
Yeah.
But see,
I just wanted to have them, but also I was like, I'm gonna lay them out on my table, and that's gonna motivate me to paint.
Paint them.
You know what? Those are a great tool. Those are a great tool for beginner painters. I'm not kidding. And when I did that Wild West war game review, that's what they were using. They were using the plastic cowboys and Indians, 54 millimeter scale or whatever, to do their Wild West games in the 70s. Cheap. And they were in the book. They're talking how they modified them and added like wet toilet paper and stuff to give them different clothes and stuff. And I'm like,
I hope they didn't pull it out of the book.
That is
Well,
way
those
too much work.
Italieri vehicles that are 156, they fit with 28 mil figures, and
Oh,
they're a
man.
bit cheaper.
Don't
They're a
get me
bit cheaper.
started on 156.
They're a bit fiddly though, right? Like the quality maybe isn't higher, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than, say, buying a GW tank or a Warlord
Oh
Games.
god. So
Well,
me and the
buying a
girls,
Disney is cheaper than
me and the girls went to one of the local game shops in Austin today, and we looked at we looked at a Tau tank or whatever, $60.
Silverfish. I
Didn't
think
you
that
build
was-
like didn't you
Yeah.
build 3 of them though, like a month ago?
And that's in
I've
my
had those
pretend,
for like 10 years. That didn't
in
pay
my
$60
pretend
a
Monopoly
pop.
money. In my pretend Monopoly money, that's like $80.
Yeah, I remember them
Jeez.
being when they
yeah.
first came
Yeah,
out.
I
I
feel
remember
ya.
them being
I feel ya.
$35 Canadian.
I think when I bought them, I think I paid $20 a pop, and I don't think I bought them from GW. I think I some guy had an army that he didn't even make, and I said, look, I don't want your infantry, but I'll buy these tanks like $20 a pop, and he just
Devilfish, that's what they're
I'm a
called,
much
devilfish.
better
Devilfish,
collector I'm a much better collector than I am a player or a painter, but I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to GW, I think it's good to it's a bit like when you want a musical instrument or a piece of technology, something that's going to be really expensive, is like maybe get last season's stuff that nobody cares
They
about
get,
anymore, the
the discount
kind of-
bin.
Yeah.
Now that everybody's talking about 10th edition, I'm like, all right, I'm going to find me a nice copy of 9th edition. Even
Well,
though the rules suck,
even
the
those books
minis
were
in there are
free.
good.
I just picked up a whole bunch of 9th edition books from an avid gamer for free. And I didn't get them for the rules, I got them for the pictures.
It's
Yeah.
like madness. It's like, what is this? It is. It's like, it's like those people who buy the new phone every year. It's like, dude, it's like GW. It's like we got to do the new edition, so everything before that is expunged and doesn't. It's like, what is wrong with you guys?
It's not even that. It's like that by time they release all the armies, they're just gonna start because they've done it at least 4 times already. Like, if don't play Imperial Guard because you won't be able to.
That's why I
paint what you paint what you like and use like a rules agnostic war game. I got this in the post the other day after waiting for ages.
Xenos.
Yeah. And you can definitely.
Well, I'm telling you guys,
so many examples in there.
That is the
you
future.
Can definitely play 40k that way.
I really regret giving away my my British Reich army.
British Reich.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, I told
a dark turn.
Well, we're talking parallel realities and Weird War, right? I told you a while back.
I thought I had to catch up on the news.
When Bolt Action released
that's right,
Oswald Mosley.
Yep, and his crew.
I still have that crew, but expanded army for that game. I got
dude. You need to get more. Oh, you got rid of them though. I was about to say
I have the core crew that they released, but the British army that I painted up to look
like the fashion.
Yeah.
Dude, because Empress Miniatures makes a huge source book called Very English Civil War, and you can use all that stuff for that using that background. See, so Bo, you're talking about where you diverge from historically accurate, whatever. Check out Empress's that Very British Civil War. These guys are British, right? And they just use all the local flavors, the regional, stereotypes and, whatever problems. And they just made a civil war in England in the late 30s. And it's like the crown is a mess and you got the fascists and then you got you got socialists and commies in there and you got just regional minor groups want to take it. It's great. It's really great.
Yeah. You don't have to. You can go crazy robots. Love those. You can go monsters. Love those. Or you could just change an historical event.
Yep.
We played.
One little thing is all it takes.
That's it. Yeah.
Mosley won the ground battle. World War II started in the late 50s.
There you go.
You know, it pushed that back. It's very simple.
I saw someone who
all
did
the same stuff.
Nepal.
Put some different
I
flags.
saw a guy who did the Napoleonic War never ended, and he did like French troops with SLR machine guns and like ammo, but they
Ooh.
still had bearskin hats.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's great. See, and that's the thing. It's like you can go. I mean, any time frame can be weird, man. I mean, if you gotta think about it, anything that isn't historically accurate that you're playing is weird, because it's just, if you're just making stuff up, it's not historical. I mean, it's historical in that the troops are, you know, representing, you know, troops of the time. But I meant,
But
like
you know what?
Like the Dirty Dozen. That's not real. That's a weird war movie. And people are like, that's not weird war. Well, the Eagle has landed. You know, Inglorious Bastards. You know, all that stuff is not fucking real. None of that happened. It's all Hulk. It's all Grindhouse. It's all, you know that kind of stuff.
It's implausible.
With that thought in mind, doesn't that make every World War II game a weird? Because who knows who's
most
going
of
to
them.
win? You know, if you're playing a completely, totally accurate, as soon as it diverges one die roll away, that's that one event. That one guy hit when he should have missed. That guy got bayoneted, but in, you know, somewhere else he lived. But not as soon as you do that one little thing, that spreads that creates.
I personally think
a simulation. You can do a simulation, but if you change the rosters, I certainly think it's weird. If you have extra tank battalions, or if you have extra troops and you're not playing an exact. If I'm creating the Battle of Waterloo as constituted historically, and then throw the randomness of dice in there, that's not weird. But if I say that the French have a couple extra battalions,
it's weird. But then if you're starting at Waterloo, the next battle, if the victory scenario goes the opposite way than it did in history, the next battle is getting reinforced by the wrong troop numbers, and that's where it becomes a weird war.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So what does that look like what does that look like in 1912, 1913, 1914? What happens when a unified France finally decides to take revenge for the winter campaign and have a point of view, and it's the French steamrolling over Russia in 1938, 39, 40 instead of the Germans.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that Brian's.
Well, here, you're getting close to like World War I, like the Romanovs. You know, like let's say World War I, the Russians don't like get massacred and withdraw from the war. What if there's a success there? Maybe the commies never come to power because there's a pride in the Russian,
or even
part in World War I.
They're not incompetent.
Yeah. So there you go. You got an influence of pride in Russian, military might against the whatever. And then you don't have the commies, even in the Soviets are never even made. They're never created because
well, they were around before entering Russia.
They
were never financed by New York bankers.
There's no one to fight against Franco and the fascists in World War II, but then it would be Germans in France and Spain because the French steamrolled over everybody in World War I.
Yeah. You guys remember that crazy time?
A French-Russian Cold War.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be.
Do you guys remember that weird time when you had to have hand sanitizer everywhere and like hand sanitizer was being sold everywhere? Do you remember that?
Yes.
It is so good for cleaning brushes.
The only thing you clean your brush with is the tip of your tongue, good sir. Especially if you're using,
especially if you're painting metallics, right? Yeah,
metallics or lacquers,
leads, lead paint.
It's funny you bring that up. I was out shopping today, and you know who made me use the freaking sanitizer? I'm like, I haven't done this in 18 months. What the hell? Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
you also need
Graham,
to take
how
a
you
shower.
doing, buddy? Boy, have I got some stuff to tell you Monday. Unless you want to jump in and make it an even 6.
I haven't
I
heard Grim in a while.
I've never
you
even
know,
seen Grim.
he's a great guy. He's been swamped at work basically, and you know sometimes how that carries over to the weekend. You feel like
I
death
think I'm
warmed over.
technically working right now.
Yeah.
That's the joke on the daytime stream because I just do this. I work here at home, so.
Heck yeah. So Mobius was saying he bought some Romanians. That's cool. Or no, he bought a Romanian army satchel. Okay.
Okay.
That changes the whole conversation.
You bought
there.
some people? You
Yeah,
can still
I was
do
like-
that?
I'm like,
Romanian,
felt like an
not
army
really.
or something.
How much
You're
are
gonna get-
Romanians going for today? These days?
Well, what you got there, James? What's that? Just
Oh,
salad
it's
or?
Fish tank?
Salad.
aquarium, high level terrain, very
Oh, yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Dude,
aquarium.
aquarium
I got
train
these
is
today.
expensive.
Yeah.
Hey, this was $4.
I got a
No,
really
like
good
the-
one.
Like the vegetation stuff, man, that is not cheap. That
Yeah.
I got a
That's-
really
that's
good
why
one in the
You gotta just make
Rulesatorium.
your vegetation out of the skin of your neighbors.
This
do
one
a little
is-
midnight gardening.
What
I don't know.
the
It's like a castle or something.
hobbit hole?
Have you guys? Do you guys remember that? Seeing my son in that sort of green trench coat. You guys remember that? That's
No.
kind of cool looking thing. It's literally a Swiss Army, overcoat
Oh.
that I bought from the Outdoorsman. It's going on close to 100-year-old jacket. I got it for $10. I've worn it. I've camped in it. I've slept in it. My son saw it and freaking fell in love with it. And now I have to fight him to get to wear it. And it's still, it's all wool.
I
It's
keep
still all
telling you.
buttons.
All
That
of
crap was
I
made
keep
to
telling
last.
you, the first rule of parenting is put the electroshock collar on the little fricker at infancy, and then you won't have to argue with them anymore. It's just
It's all going to be his someday, anyways.
yeah.
He's so lucky.
Until then, he gets
He's
zapped.
so
when he
lucky
touches
that
your
he
stuff.
has no brothers and sisters that he gets all of my riches when I kick the bucket. But I keep telling him.
Nudie models with donkey seats.
But he's got to, he doesn't get any of it till he's 18. So there's no
James, I
point.
was like, what the fuck?
There's no point in killing me off till you're 18. And on his 18th birthday, I'm going to go, oh, you know what? They changed the law. It's 21. 3 more years.
Oh.
He's a good kid.
They changed the law. It sits in Hunter Biden's holding account for 18 months.
Until he no longer wants to smell it.
Nice. Oh my God. So when you guys do, like say you're role playing, right? And you're dungeon mastering, what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer to use like a Twilight Zone? You walk through a cave or a fog cloud and you're in an alternate dimension? Or do you like to use a device like City on the Edge of Forever from Star Trek? Or do you like to use a big old spell or some magic item? What do you guys think is like the most either used by
I
you
like to
or
use a remote control that looks like it was built out of parts from Radio Shack.
okay, like sliders? That's a good one. How about you, Brian?
It's the old
Man, I don't
Nokia
know.
cell phone.
Probably like, you're at the bar, you're talking to this chick, and you black out, and then what the hell? On another dimension.
Bathtub
Here's-
surrounded by ice with one of your kidneys missing.
Yeah, it's like I got a Y incision here. What's going on?
Oh, it all works.
Something with the
Do whatever.
ladies. Got to put the ladies in there. and a blackout scene.
If you're in a,
I really never played any game like that.
And next thing you're trying to steal a green orb from another chick.
I just want to ponder.
How did I get so tall, and why am I bald? That's
I
big.
think if you're in an
I love
environment where like the destructiveness of the weapons is like constantly escalating, like it's quite possible to like tear apart reality with some kind of, you know, German like spice bomb of some kind. Like,
bell, the German bell.
yeah, the Beaker spacecraft. Admiral Byrd
or something.
etc.
Yeah, that's right. 1947 Operation High Point, High Jump, or whatever.
I only learned the other day that those tanks were so over-engineered in the German army that toward the end of the war they had infrared on them.
Yeah,
it's like
a vampire system.
It's like
44, 45. Yeah.
Like you wonder what
listen, the Germans developed the first anti-tank guided missiles too, and I'm not talking about air to air. I'm talking ground. The X7 were like for against tanks and stuff. Man, they had some tech in them.
My all-time plausible conspiracy theory is related to Operation Paperclip and how much American technology just jumped. You look at like 1920, 1921, 22, no problem. We're getting some airplanes.
Nazi Germany was the first country to go to the moon.
And then like 1949, 50, it's like just takes off, and you've got, you know, everything from computers and then microchips for landing people on the moon, and we're doing all this stuff, and then it finally starts to peter out and stagnate again. And
well, literally, a man we shall not name because it's a bannable offense to name those people on this platform, was claiming that they were all Nazis.
Name now.
You can look it up. You can look up who had von Braun removed from NASA. Yeah.
Look, all those scientists got us stale skated.
Yeah.
Oh, the Japanese and the Germans.
Hey, you could be talking about one of my grandparents there. Easy.
Weird. Do you have a favorite campaign, Weird? Like a favorite part of World War II?
Like historically, oh man, I like the Bulge. I like the last, grasp of any kind of like, it would have never, succeeded, and it was so vague, and but it's just it was just the last big push, and they just threw everything they had, the technology, the men, and whatever, and it just it's just a cool campaign because it starts off with this German juggernaut of late war stuff against just piecemeal infantry. Right. And then it starts to teeter. They start to lose their tanks and they gas or whatever. And then, the Americans start to bring in their tanks, and then it starts to revolve. Their tanks break down. They run out of gas, and now it's against their infantry. It's a cool It's a good campaign to play. And another reason why is it's tight. You're in the Ardennes, man. You don't have big fields of advancement. If you play it historically accurate, we're talking you're on muddy roads, small, compact cities. And man, it's ambush around every bush. Yeah, it's a fun campaign to play.
I love North Africa. That's my
That's a good campaign.
Yeah, same here.
Probably
same
because
here.
there's a strong Australian element there as well.
Yeah.
A bit of a personal history. I've been reading this on and off.
Oh, right on.
You can get it on Amazon.
Well, the Aznaks were you guys were in Burma too. The Pacific is so underly represented unless you're doing the island campaign, island jumping
like
stuff.
Guadalcanal,
I mean, even the Chinese versus the Japanese, the Burmese. I mean, all that.
American mercenaries like Chenault and the Flying Tigers in the late 30s. And I was watching a documentary
for the Chinese
about Pappy Boyington, the real life Pappy Boyington. It was just this is this incredibly alcoholic.
He's an
pilot.
asshole.
Yeah. He was accused of shooting down he ambushed a New Zealand fighter, and then the pilot like beat the shit out of him in some bar. He came in like literally wet still from swimming back to the base. The early war, early for the Americans, Pacific campaign, the Philippine campaign with Wainwright just getting pounded to dust by the Japanese and inevitably captured, the fall of Bataan and the fall of Manila.
Man, Wake Island? That's a great campaign to play.
That was just that was a perfect campampign to introduce
my brother
Cthulhu-esque to me.
Oh yeah,
monsters and it's weird because a lot of Americans don't know a lot about it. It's not really taught much in our schools. And when I think about the things that are like, wait a minute, how come I didn't learn about that? That just adds another element of weirdness as a player.
It's a true world war. I mean, almost every culture in Asia, in Europe, and Africa were affected by North America. Were affected by it.
Every continent, including those secret Antarctic bases.
It's true. I mean, listen. I mean, you jest, but you had Germans in the polar regions. The Germans set up a weather station in Canada, far north in the polar areas of Canada. There's a German, weather station that was still, there.
I think the only countries that weren't affected were the ones on the other side of the disc.
Oh yeah, there you go. Jumped off the turtle or whatever.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere, man.
My brother's a reservist, and he recently celebrated Anzac Day with some of the surviving Fuzzy Wuzzies, the New Guinean tribesmen who helped Australian Special Forces. Yeah,
that's another underrepresented, like the colonial troops from the African nations, from the Asian nations, from the Pacific Island nations. Dude, they were in the shit. The Filipinos were kicking ass against the Japanese, behind the lines.
We wouldn't have survived without those New Guinean tribes.
Oh no, not at all.
After our wounded, they hit us. They helped us. They helped us on special operations. I'm only kind of just getting to grips with World War II because I've always been more of a World War I guy, funnily enough. But
remember, if you play the Axis, then you're a Nazi.
That's true.
But
Be careful. If you play the Japanese, you're a fascist and you want to destroy everything and everybody.
I saw someone do a video about that the other day because he was getting a bit of stick for doing like lots of different German stuff. And I mean, look, like, it's hard, especially if you maybe are a little bit more conservative. Like, people love to slap that label on you. Like, it's difficult. If you do every theater, you do end up with like 3 German armies, and even your relatives are like, dude, like, you interested in anything else?
So it's going to be a communist.
Well,
my old man was,
I do have 2 different copies of Mein Kampf.
You have the original German translation and then the English version.
Why don't you just get a piano with the proper?
I have one signed by my Uncle Addy.
When I'm around these wokeists, you got to wrap this one takes a little bit of thinking. But I tell them, I say, look, the National Socialists get thrown out of the right side of the helicopter, and the International Socialists get thrown out of the left side of the helicopter.
Exactly.
No,
and that means head scratching before they get really angry with me.
And that might be another reason, guys, honestly, because I played the hell out of World War II for years and years and years. All the campaigns, all the different theaters, and you're just you can only play like El Alamein so many times.
I think it's childish to look at like ideologies and philosophies as like moral or immoral. It's people who are moral or immoral. It's people who decide to enact these different things. And it's like,
well, there was a real
split between the German army and the SS. I probably
not
wouldn't.
even.
I would probably draw the line. I would probably actually draw the line at having SS just because they're creepy. But
But I mean,
the best
like,
uniform.
they were, but in just
no,
historically,
you're retarded, Justin.
They have the best uniform.
but no, I mean, if you go
No,
historically, if you go
the
historically,
Flecton,
the
Flecton
SS
of
were given the
year
best
is
equipment. They were the ones who plugged all the lines, be good or bad. I mean, don't tell me they're not these Supermen. The SS, maybe the first units early in the war, but then they were getting recruits and newbies because all their men are dead.
But the only army that was better equipped and had better uniforms in all of history than the SS were the Emu.
The Emu. Jeez. The Emu War, huh? Everybody loves that one.
Hey man, you got to admit, man, they had some badass gear. My old man.
It sounded like you were referring to the Emu.
But
No, the SS. My dad had, I kid you not, before I was born, I have a photograph of it. My dad was buying guns for like $12 a piece through the mail when he was a kid, right?
Before the gun control.
He had 20 Lugers, all matching parts, 20 broom handle Mausers, all matching parts, and sold every last one of them so I could be born in the hospital. And I grew up and I came across this photo and I'm like, Dad, what the hell? You didn't save one for me? Not even just one? The broom handle Mauser is my dream gun. One of these days when the price goes down, I will grab one. I'll grab one with the freaking wooden shoulder holster stock. I mean, that is like the epitome of badass hand gunnery. I mean, there is yet to be anything that incredible.
I've shot it, dude. It's cool, though.
How do you scale that kind of over-engineering to against 8 million Russians with a club? With
exactly. Numbers annihilate. That's true. It's true.
It's like that kind of over-engineering is so German. So German and so autistic. Like, we're just going to put the sensor in here.
No. When
that's the only reason why they lost the war, in my opinion.
Modern commie kid tells me that the Russians won World War II. You slap him in the mouth and you say, no, Rosie the Riveter and Lend-Lease won World War II.
Okay, so
30 million GM pickup trucks that we gave to the Russians.
It's true.
I would say that it was probably a team effort between the East and West. Like that's probably
I'm going to throw something out big time, guys, and this is going to piss people off. Eventually, no matter who was in it, the Soviets would have steamrolled the Germans in Europe. No matter what happens, the Soviets the Germans would never have penetrated that deep in the Soviet Union and have that supply line. The Soviets would have just eventually crushed them. And in the Pacific, let me finish. In the Pacific, the U.S. Navy and its troops bashed and destroyed the Japanese. Now, I'm not saying that the other belligerents did not have parts in it, and they did. But if you really pull away all the bullshit, the Americans would have crushed the Japanese in whatever situation, and the Soviets would have crushed the Germans in Europe.
It was kind of a dumb idea to activate both, right? Like it's kind of like, you could have just left them out of it and like gotten what you wanted. But I was going to say, like, Justin, your personal Jesus, Adolf, like, he did have a tendency of like bumping off capable commanders.
You heard it here, folks.
That's not true.
Well, the Soviets did that too. Stalin did his purges before the war, and then it's like, then all of a sudden, like, oh shit, we need these guys back. Okay, find these guys in the gulags if they're still alive, and let's get them to start making shit.
Yeah. Hey, would you like a fresh pair of underwear and a generalship?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll give you food and a generalship. Let's get you back over here and in the West.
That soup has a bit of onion floating in it. Isn't communism great?
Jeez, I mean, it's rough, guy. I mean, we all jest and stuff, but you're talking the flux in the world is just, it was like the perfect storm, and it was just madness. And it was like many a year that before the tide turned, that people there wasn't that insurance that it was going to go your way. I mean, it was when the Brits were taking it and the Commonwealth were taking it to themselves and doing it themselves. They were fighting, holding on to the skin of their teeth, man.
If they hadn't arrested the peace envoy before the war started,
here we go,
and sentenced him to crimes against the peace.
I'm the peace envoy. Please let me have this much of Europe.
No, that's
like,
not how.
Like it's cool. You guys lost. We beat you fair and square. I do.
Yeah,
I love British tanks. I love British tanks and British tech because it's so. I love the British war tech of World War II because it's so ugly and it's hyper practical. Like just like, oh, this used to be a spoon and now it's an airplane. Like, you know, like.
I mean, I'm telling you.
During World War II?
I'm pretty sure the German could actually engineer that spoon into an airplane.
So in my hard history, you know, and I'm developing my weird war timeline.
Yeah.
I have in all the volumes of shit that I've read, for me to actually prolong the war in a realistic sense, right? I have got to neutralize the Commonwealth. Because without them at the beginning, without them at the start of the war, the Germans and the Japanese would have never, they cannot win. They can't expand. So you have to neutralize the Commonwealth. And be it politically, the Commonwealth collapses. You know, India has that revolution against they're not part of the Commonwealth anymore. The South Africans, you know, withdraw and become neutral. The Australians are isolated or defeated. You know,
when we played,
we would have probably ceded the northern half of the country and like kept fighting like on the down low. Like, there's no way. If they had gone through the north, they probably would have just died in the desert. But if they'd attacked the coasts, like, there's no way we could have stood up to them.
But all you had to do in Australia is just isolate.
Yeah,
and it would have just withered.
Yeah.
It would have just withered.
Well, when we played Prime Minister Mosley. That's what we called the campaign. The British Reich. We played all those scenarios between what was our World War II, which was between Europe and America. Like all of Europe as one power. We played all those scenarios where you had the Indians revolting against the Commonwealth, Australia trying to break away. Those were all small little campaigns we played for about 6 months before the actual World War II in the mid to late 50s.
That's cool.
And those were options. Did they break away? Did they not? Like, before we would pick like an idea come up, does it happen? Yes or no? Roll a die.
Yeah.
And then go forward if it happens.
Well, and then it's like, even, I mean, if you did that way, let's say Europe is neutralized and the Pacific is whatever. Yeah. America is safe, man. You've got two oceans separating the major belligerents to the U.S. and the U.S.'s industrial base and human base.
Yeah,
they'd probably be isolationists until they had to fight.
Well, it becomes
you need a Philip
like the Pacific jumping
Man
off
High Tower scenario, right?
What's that?
Philip Dick.
Oh yeah, Dick. Yeah.
Man High Tower. With the Russian. Pardon me. German atomic bombs. And then split the U.S. at the Rocky Mountains between the Japanese Empire and the Germans.
Well,
so Philip's story is way fantasy. There's nothing grounded in any historical possibility for any of that to happen.
I don't like any theoretical scenario where you're invading a mountainous country like the U.S. Like, it's like. You know, anyone who tries to like do anything to the US from the outside, like, you know, in a kind of a land-based way, they're going to encounter quite a few problems, and it's not just like
it would be
Justin popping off with his like prepper kit going.
Population
time
is armed. Yeah, the population is armed.
But
it's
not
not.
a big part of it, but the geography alone. Like the land alone is like would be a real pain. It's like, how do you manage such a varied and broad
slow guerrilla
landscape?
No, fifth column, led by academians and entertainers.
There's just not enough, though. You got to think of that. You talk about that. The academics and the thinkers, they're not fighters, dude. They have to convince men to fight. Strong men to fight.
Well,
there wasn't enough.
Laid down.
Now this gets a little fringe, but we've played with an idea where, like when the East Coast or the West Coast, when the Japanese invaded, they put all the Japanese Americans in internment camps. Well, we had thought the idea if you had because of the South, you have the race relation issues. What if the communists were in diving into race issues with the African Americans, the Hispanics, and all this, saying you're not getting equal representation, you're not getting equal rights, but if you become communist, we're all equal, and you'll have that freedom, freedom. So now you have a large insurrection within the states.
Now, if you read much of
Martin Luther King was a Marxist, wasn't he? Like effectively.
Yeah, but this is World War II. We're talking World War II.
If you've read Hitler's writings on the Southern relations, he was absolutely against the Klan in concept.
But it's true.
Now, would he have then used them, formed an alliance of expedience? Who knows?
No, well, I think the Nazis would use anybody to their means, and then exterminate them when they don't need them anymore.
Well, that's also not true.
Well,
the Nazis were not as exterminationist as we were taught in school.
Well, I don't. In my personal research, that's not true. But that's whatever. But Americans. And even even the Brits, man, you're not going to get enough fascists to overthrow the rest of the British people. They're just not going to have it. But what happens?
The country would split, just like in that very British Civil War.
There might be areas that split, but not the whole country.
Popular. It was a very popular ideology in Britain at the time. The only reason why they were able to suppress it is because the crown took out the rightful king. Like the king was deposed, and seriously.
Well, no, he abdicated.
He abdicated right after the peace envoy that was going to talk to him was arrested for crimes against the peace.
Well, in 1930, the Brits had laws that said that you can't have political uniforms. No one could wear a political uniform.
They enacted that because of Mosley.
Yeah.
That law didn't exist beforehand. And
you're right.
They put the bars on the prison specifically after they arrested him. the prison that he was put in didn't have bars the day before he was arrested.
I mean, bear in mind, Justin, that Mosley, like most fascists, kind of spent time in other ideological camps. So there are also timelines. There are also timelines where Mosley is a communist leader or a royalist leader.
Yes, but
it's whatever. Yeah, whatever they can.
This is the campaign I played.
Caught on to.
Like even Mussolini and Hitler dabbled in communism in their youth.
Because fascism didn't exist when they were looking for something.
Not in the formal sense, but people like Evola and the futurists and stuff like that.
What's interesting about Weird War is you can do what we're doing right now. You can have these crazy conversations about what ifs by individuals, by ideals, by technology, by religion, by geography.
Right? There's a whole bunch of wacky stuff about Nazi cults that are just pulled out of people's.
Or you can even say, maybe the church is able to convince Mussolini to act certain ways or has more power or whatever it might be. The Pope is there. There you got that. You can, and like South America is fantastic, dude, because it is like the West. It's like the old West when it comes to like World War II, because you had fascists down there. You had you had democracies that were trying to flourish. Then you had all these external powers vying for their influence,
resources,
and so resources, their loyalty, whatever it might be. Because and then you got the Panama Canal down there, you got Mexico's oil fields, you got Colombia's. All of that's there. It's in play. And you have all these external powers trying to vie for all that stuff. So South America becomes a whole new battle.
Yes, the problem with playing a war game in South America is nobody can understand what the hell those people are saying.
And then you get to throw in all the hokey religions and the human sacrifice and the ancient aliens and all that crap. You can really just go nuts with that.
Yeah, you can.
Have you guys seen that naval game? I forget the name of it, but it's like a alternate World War One world. It's got like airships and like really hyper.
Oh yeah,
Dystopian Wars.
Yeah, that's the one. I've been skirting around the idea of getting the starter for that, but it looks very complicated. Like I feel like it would be a big commitment to learn how every little widget works. But that world looks like
I'm
a really interesting.
Now. Give me simple rules. I'm at a time now that just give me simple rules.
Well, it does look intimidating. To be fair.
I want no more than a paragraph for the entire rule system.
It does look a bit intimidating. There's so many different...
Just give me one coin for a win-lose victory.
There's so many different markers. There's so many different markers and counters and stuff in that game. I'm like, I don't feel ready. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I don't want to unbox that in my house.
I love complexity, man. I love it. I love crunchy stuff. I love that stuff.
Do you like GMT games? Like the Hex and Counter World War II games?
German Meat Tank?
I dig that stuff, but I'm more of a minis guy. So I really love minis. But yeah, I love chat game.
I want the depth
and
to
Counter
come
is great
from
for the big
things that
battles.
happen, not the math I have to do.
Some of them are math, some math heavy, but they're a blast.
But that's just your gaming table. It's just a different scale kind of thing. Because I couldn't do some of the battles represented in Hex games in miniatures. I'd be, you just find a skeleton holding a paintbrush.
It's like you're talking divisions or army maneuvering on a Hex. Yeah.
So just popping it on a counter is like, that's fine. I could deal with that. Like if we're working.
Or even having one guy represent the army, like
Risk. I dig Risk. I'm a big Risk fan too.
I used to play a game every day.
Games are terrible though.
High school was interesting time.
Risk is great.
It is. It's fun.
Yeah, I just like saying Kamchatka.
Kamchatka. What was the country next to it? The big blue one.
Dude, I couldn't even tell you what the
Ural. That's in Europe.
Yeah. But our board was bilingual, so it was also anal or something like that. It was like Ural anal or something like that. It was very weird.
Do you guys like airship combat? That kind of like different timeline of technology, or did you cover that last week? Because
we were talking about that what if last week, but we didn't really talk about how that would have affected real life combat. You have to find something to put in your airships besides hydrogen.
That's the thing. It's like airships are so fragile that unless there's some weird tech that keeps them from
Yeah.
popping.
The only
No, I
reason
mean more
why
like,
the Hindenburg went down is because the U.S. refused to sell Germany helium.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I used to live less than a mile away from where they filmed that movie. There was a place called Mile Square Park, and I got to watch the fake Hindenburg get taken out.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, you have to kind of really come up with a completely different technology
Yeah.
I
to
meant
get
more like
air combat to be
I meant more
anything
like
other than
something
just
like the HMS Hood, but hovering, like something metal, like something impossibly
Yeah, like
heavy
hover tech or whatever.
with big cannons on it. You know, like that kind of.
What was that?
I've heard that
That
before.
show? There was an anime series called Last Exile or something like that.
that's ringing
Last,
about.
Last Exit. I don't know.
Yeah, so Grimm mentions Operation Sea Lion. There's no way the Germans would have ever gotten rid of the British or even Commonwealth navies. No way.
There
None.
were what you call hypothetical scenarios. Like both sides had them. And
Yeah,
that was it was a thought piece, right?
Yeah,
They never
like,
put the resources into it to do it in the first place.
No, it's just the only way you were going to neutralize the Brits, like by land. You had to pound them into submission and then occupy it. You're not going to defeat the Navy. It's too massive.
One of the things that led to the rise of the Reich was the fact that the commies had subverted the German Navy and had destroyed so much of the infrastructure of it in the 20s. They'd done occupied zones in Germany. They'd taken over a couple of the coastal cities. I don't know what ones off the top of my head, but
are you talking like reality or in your
real
war
life?
Game?
In real life,
I'm not familiar with the communist suppression of areas.
Yeah,
I know that after the armistice, it
wasn't the Soviet Union. It was actual communist groups.
Well, yeah, you had the big knee jerk. Yeah, the knee jerk all across the world. First it was the anarchists. Everybody was trying to defeat all the anarchists, and then it was like, oh shit, this communist thing is getting out of control. But you know what? In a weird war aspect, you can just meld the communists into Cthulhuists.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Or subfaction of them underneath,
or some sort of subfaction of that kind of hidden society.
What do you do with like neutral countries that kind of technically stayed out of the war, but maybe on the down low were kind of giving a little bit of aid to like one side or the other, like Spain or
like Spain. So if England fails, okay, the reason Spain didn't jump in is, first of all, they had a really great relationship with the Brits. Spain had a great relationship with the Brits. Now, if the Brits are gone, there's no reason why the Spanish would stay out of the war. They would just become Axis because there's no one else left around them.
Right.
They might as well be part of the crew instead of being a possible target, for.
Well, in my scenario, Britain is part of the crew that you're talking about. So.
Well, that's true. So Spain would easily just have. I mean, they had good relations with the Germans too, but they had a lucrative, money and imports and all this sales and stuff through England. And if England was not even a factor, then they would really sway to the Axis. And then, if you got the French are gone, or they're the Vinci are in charge, and you got the Italians at your doorstep, the Swiss, no one gives a shit about the Swiss because they're in a friggin' valley surrounded by mountains. Yeah. It's just not needed. And the Swiss are going to be neutral. They're cool. It doesn't matter. But if you're talking like Ireland, if the English Isles fall, or even this in our timeline, the Germans have said, hey, look, you can have Northern Ireland if you help us take England. right?
Because
So
there was a fascist movement in Ireland, but it was quite small. The blue.
yeah,
shirts.
it was small.
Yeah,
But what
most of it
happens?
got subsumed into the IRA anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have that caveat, like you could have Northern Ireland, if you just help us, with this invasion, then all of a sudden, that's a reason why the neutral Irish would join, because they would regain those lost lands from the English.
Well, it's not even
longer.
that. If they had gone, like in the real world, if they had gone full fascist, Ireland would have been given its own relative autonomy. Because that's the way the fascist ideology was with cultural differences.
Well, you have to neutralize the British.
Yes, but
for any of that to happen, yeah.
Once again, you're talking about bringing in that ideology into Britain now.
The thing is, the divide between Republican and like monarchist in Ireland was really complicated. Like,
it was.
I only really recently learned that most of the guys who kind of started the independence movement were actually like of English origin and Protestants, but they sort of saw themselves in the same way that maybe the US colonists did. And like, this is a new country, we want our own rules.
The politics got dirty. It got muddy. I'd say not dirty, but muddy. And the people weren't like, there wasn't a strong message. There wasn't a strong leadership for a revolution or whatever.
That's why they had an ongoing civil war after they got their independence.
Man, Shadow, if you're shaking something, you gotta make sure whatever you're shaking is in the camera frame, because it does not look right when you do that.
Sinner.
Just for I don't want to eye contact with you when I do it.
It's just that donkey thing coming back up again.
Why do I have a weird feeling? That I've argued with Justin on 4chan like 100 times?
Never. But I learned all my techniques from you.
A thought occurred to me. I know for a fact that when I have to like bounce out of the show, you guys are going to still be here like tomorrow. You know what I mean? Midnight 01. You guys will still be here. And I'm having a blast. I wanted to, maybe talk about some weirder stuff, but I am having an absolute blast. Just listening to well,
so,
Justin noticed that you were enjoying yourself. But
so you bring
his arm jerking back and forth.
Oh, dude.
You bring up the weirder, right?
A bottle of paint or something.
That's pretty weird. That would be pretty freaking weird, right?
So you guys bring up the weirder side, right? So let me jump in real quick.
You guys all know Mordheim, yeah?
Yeah.
Like the game.
Yeah.
I'll just like steal your moment for a second. Apparently, the creator of Mordheim is doing a weird World War I game. Anyway,
is he?
Carry on.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to see.
Well, see, so a big trope for Weird World War II is like Cthulhu, and that's a big thing for all things. And one of the reasons why is that Lovecraft's IP is not owned; it's public. It's public domain. So that's why everybody in any genre and in any kind of game uses that, because first of all, it's rife with awesome shit and no one owns it. So you don't have to use any royalties to it. So that's why it's so prolific in everything.
I personally prefer the King in Yellow, but
well,
I'm just being contrary to that. Bo left us. He waved and then went away.
Probably
but yeah, so
Justin, got something for you here, man.
Yeah, I see him. You're knocking
there he is.
Models off the shelf there.
I made a King in Yellow.
Cool.
Long time ago.
It's cool.
I mean, this
cool.
literally cost me. This literally cost me less than like $2 to make.
Your soul, just your soul.
It's made out of baby wipes, wire, clay, and I spent $1 for the baby.
Once again, I hope they weren't used.
Baby wipes. If you let them dry, you take baby wipes without a pattern, you let them dry, and then you cut them into the shapes, and then use the glue and water to reshape them.
That's cool.
Then you'll have
sturdy.
a king. Then you'll have a king in yellow that's cucumber fresh.
Cucumber.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this-
I've still got mine.
I
I've still
get
got
this-
mine.
I get these at Hobby Lobby for like $5. I wait until they go on sale, 40% off, and they never have them in stock because I keep buying them. It's a little piece of jewelry.
I want to turn mine into like a fake war medal, like, you know, the Great Cthulhu War.
Take
Like
the
put a bit of
ribbon
ribbon
and
on it or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
Cthulhu is
survived
just
the madness medal.
What was that that song by the Blue Oyster Cult? Yeah,
Veteran of Wars.
Veteran of a Psychic War.
Yeah,
that's a great song, dude.
That war.
That's an
that
excellent
was actually,
song, dude.
That song is actually a tribute to the Vietnam vets. But, you know, and it's weird how they put that one. That's the one they put on the heavy metal soundtrack. Yeah. But they actually wrote a song called Heavy Metal, the Black and Silver. The lyrics are literally talking about what's going on in the movie with the Varakian and her flying on her beast and shit. And they went, "No, we're gonna take Veteran."
Yeah, Veteran's a better one.
Oh, that's a good song, dude.
No.
Now that you're talking about Blue Oyster Cult, you got a tat of that. I recognize on your hand, don't you? You've got Blue Oyster Cult gaunt.
It's a lot of people call it the symbol of Kronos or something. I'm like, I don't freaking care. I did this when I was on my 18th birthday with a sewing needle, a pencil eraser, some India ink, and old school, man.
And cultural appropriation.
That's why I don't do Justin. That's why I don't do Halloween, because my culture is not a costume.
Oh boy.
But yeah, you know, Cthulhu is just it's so, you know, if you really think about it, it's so sad, you know, coming from the guy, you know, he was so messed up.
He was a messed up guy.
And yet his you know, issues gave us some of the most original, crazy ass stuff to work with. Hey, Mark, my bro, what is that? Want to get real weird? Winnie the Pooh is public domain now. Here's our chance to.
Hell yeah, dude!
And isn't he also World War II?
Nazis and
always the quiet ones, man. You always come up with something. I swear to God, man. Oh, speaking of which, Mark, I want to get you on my show, just you and me. What do you say?
Winnie the Pooh is the Allied version of Hellboy.
Yeah, or the Nazis have taken over the 100-acre wood, and it's Winnie. It's up to Winnie and his crew to overthrow it.
You need to do a NATO-China conflict then, like modern war, and put Winnie the Pooh in the Chinese tank.
Xi. Yeah, he's Pooh. Yeah, he's Pooh Bear, man. Yeah. See, that's funny because a lot of Americans wouldn't get that, but you being Aussie, I guess, right? You guys are closer to the Chinese issue than a lot of the Americans.
I'm in the neighborhood, and like we have such a weird relationship with China where we're like so economically intertwined with each other, but they threaten us with nuclear hellfire like every fortnight.
It's true. It's true. It's like, you know, and like they love America and they want America's markets, but in China, they're an open like conflict with the United States being the great, you know, evil or whatever it is. It's just like, what the fuck?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit, you know, because it's like I'd rather get along with the Chinese, like for more than obvious reasons, like, but you know, they do kind of make these overtures all the time, like, oh, you better not be like having diplomatic relations with all these Pacific islands. Like that's our job
it's our stuff
now. You know,
because we had a Chinese ancestor like take a dump on this island, so it's ours. It's China. It's traditional Chinese, or you know, whatever.
We dug up a fishing rod from the Bronze Age. Like,
that showed a picture of your island, and it's ours.
If you
It's
really
really
want to
part of
upset
China.
them, apparently the thing that makes them furious is the Australian naval flag. That makes them more angry than
Oh,
anything
really?
ever. So I'm gonna buy
What is
one.
it?
It's just like a colors reversed Australian flag. Like it's white with like blue stars and stuff. But
Huh.
like, you know,
Oh.
apparently it makes them see. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey,
I mean,
hey,
and, you know,
Justin, Justin's actually pretty should be pretty familiar with the China invasion. They're over there right now training, aren't they?
I don't know. You say so.
I don't know.
I have no idea what my government's doing. The only thing I know about my
one for
government
yes
is that it
and
deserves a
twice for no.
lamppost.
Are they in the room now?
It's wrong. It's wrong because I kind of like Trudeau because he's like the himbo dictator. Like he's so ridiculous that you can't just not sort of laugh at him. Like, have you seen?
I agree with you, but he still needs the lamppost. You're muted, bro.
He's like, everything I do,
Brian, you're muted, I think.
Man.
I think he's just messing with us.
He's singing.
Because I can't see the muted symbol on his screen.
No, he's muted on his end.
I'll do his dialogue.
No, we can't hear
yeah,
you,
man,
man.
that's really interesting. Far out, dude.
I want some more weed, man.
Well, there's plenty here. Don't you worry about that.
I'm nodding my head no,
Shut
like
the
you can
front
see me.
door. Haven't heard that one in a while, Mobius. Hey, well, where did Bo go? Did Bo even leave us a
waved
message?
I
goodbye
saw
and
him
left.
wave, and then
Oh, man.
he-
Peaced out like no tomorrow. I miss Bo.
All right. Well,
He never gave me a straight answer to my question on his Ask Me Anything.
oh,
He gave me a very cold answer, but I don't believe it.
I was not there. I had to fall asleep.
I couldn't think of anything, and I was in chat with Hungar, so
Does Weird still know
Discord
that
chat.
he's muted, or has he
I have
figured it
no
out?
idea. We're stalling until he unmutes. So I asked him if he picks the left side or right side of his nose first.
Hey,
And then he went on to a big thing about deviated septums.
You guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can.
now.
My old lady, shut up! I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, no, but yeah.
Tell her to
It's
No,
only,
I'm
it's
a
only
big-
what, 9:30, I guess.
It's
I guess
10:30.
that's pretty- Oh,
10:40.
okay.
But you know, I'm a big. I watch a lot of stuff about China and the Pacific and stuff. It's pretty interesting, the politics involved and stuff. So, but yeah,
I mean,
Winnie the Pooh is outlawed in China because the Xi was. So if you guys don't know, Xi Jinping, whatever his damn name is, the president or the dictator of China, he has been equated to Winnie the Pooh. Right. And there was a bunch of memes that got out there. And then, the CCP banned Winnie the Pooh in China.
Now, is that true or Western propaganda? Because
No,
I know
that's
we lie
real.
about their shit a lot.
No, it's true.
Why are wearaboos always China boos as well? Like,
I
what
don't.
do those two
I
things
don't.
line
I'm not a weeaboo.
Wearaboo.
Wearaboo.
A wearaboo, someone who loves their Wehrmacht so much. that, like,
I've never heard that one before. No, I just
roses
China,
are red. Roses are red, violets are blue. Fallschirm Jaeger 42. Like
42. Was that Crete right there? Yeah, that was the last. They learned their lesson. Well, yep. That was they kicked the Fallschirmjäger kicked the Greeks' ass. That's another thing. So we did a whole kind of thought process about if the Commonwealth did collapse, would Greece just secede or surrender to the Italians, and when they start to move into into Greece because the Brits aren't there to back the Greeks up. And then, the Greeks kicked the shit out of the Italians, and then the Germans had to back up the Italians to defeat the Greeks. But then the Greeks had to retreat through, through the British stuff.
We never dealt with that theater in our game because no one had those armies.
Oh, the minis, yeah. Like the Abyssinian, yeah. So, but it's interesting.
Mentioning the whole Mediterranean, it's like if the Germans got Malta because the Commonwealth collapsed, and they most likely would, that's a very nice place to be situating your navy and like a whole bunch of air assets.
I would personally like to have the island to turn into a personal residence.
For a certain individual.
It's funny how that tiny little island, Malta, has like had such a play in history, like in general, like the Turks and the Knights of St. John fought over it. The Normans, and the Arabs.
That's where the Ark of the Covenant's buried.
Yeah, maybe it is
something. The Spirit of Destiny. Maybe I don't know.
In our timeline, we have so when the Italians, they're at war with Ethiopia, right?
Yeah,
and
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Exactly. So there's a sect of Christianity in Ethiopia that says that they have the Ark of the Covenant, like they have the physical Ark. So we work that into our Weird World War II. So what's happened is that the Italians have actually been blunted by the Ethiopians because the Ethiopians have been infused by this divine weapon.
But how would that be? We all know Hitler is the second coming of Jesus.
But anyway, God, that's painful, dude. That's painful to even hear that shit. But no, so
Hitler
was just trying to push.
Hitler was literally
he was just trying to push the
political officer and message runner from Austria, like who couldn't get into art school.
Actually, it was architectural school. But
hey, speaking of like artifacts and relics, have either of you guys thought of that World War II? There was a lot of talk about these ancient relics. The Spear of Destiny, the Ark of the Covenant, etc. Right? Do you ever think that maybe that was like part of the big the big sort of conflict, and that maybe that it finally ended because those things actually got into the hands of completely new people, and thus sort of changed the balance of power?
What do you think nukes actually are?
Yeah, haven't you seen Evangelion?
The power of God. So
apparently I'm a weeb.
Here's a side note. So
I've never seen one. You've never seen one.
World War II was prolific in the comic books, right?
Yeah.
So in comic books, people were saying like, well, why doesn't Superman just fly into Nazi Germany and finish the war or whatever? Well, the comic book people wrote in a reason, and one of the big DC's reason why the DC superheroes couldn't do that is because the Nazis had the Spear of Destiny, and they had this superhero, the supervillain guy. He was able to make this like null area around all of the occupied areas, and any superhuman that went into those areas could be influenced by that power and be taken over. So that's why Superman never just flew into Berlin and take care of business, because he would have been, taken over.
They had a point of view gun, like in Hitchhiker's Guide. Like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like the most dangerous weapon in the universe is a gun that makes other people see your point of view.
His name is right there. What's that comedian? Canadian guy just died last year.
Yeah, apparently, you touched a nerve on more than just one soul there, Justin. I might have to put you in timeout.
I mean, they were both Jewish, so
Who?
That's funny.
Oh, it only works if they were true.
We're talking about, people's, religions or whatever. Religion's another aspect that a lot of people don't introduce into their weird war. But this could be, in theory, the apocalypse, right? For the people involved, it is the apocalypse. So why don't you have like righteous and damned elements on the battlefield? And we have rules for, like, I have rules for like angels and demons or devils on the battlefield. And they're not necessarily like national, they're not national entities. They're just individuals. So like, let's say a demon materializes on the battlefield. What happens is anybody who's truly
soon, Graham. Sorry about that, man.
And we'll roll for individuals on the battlefield. If certain roles come into play, those people are like damned or righteous, and then they're with certain powers. The entities are on the battlefield. So, and that brings another kind of like third party. Let's say you're fighting the Battle of El Alamein, right? And then all of a sudden, like, a portion of your unit, is damned, and they start to fight against you. So now you have a whole nother enemy. You have the Germans in front of you, and then like some of the Brits are fighting against you as well. And it's fun to put those wrenches in like normal games, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. It's a lot of fun to do shit like that.
Do your conflicts get the attention of extraterrestrial entities?
My alien stuff usually tends to be Cthulhu. They're all alien. Cthulhu stuff is all alien. So I usually just use that because it's easier. I have some Venetians, like Venus women, that come down and for breeding stock.
I went over to your channel and I saw you were doing some kind of like.
You need to get a girlfriend, man.
Dude, I got a wife, dude.
I don't know what the hell's going on. You need to get a girlfriend, man.
I saw you were doing something with like cow vehicles.
You gotta throw the grays in there, man. There's so many great gray alien miniatures.
I have some.
And 1947 Roswell, dude. It's like kind of like a no-brainer, I would think. 1947.
I've got grays.
It might be just because I'm a kid of the 90s, but grays are like a 90s X-Files.
Yeah, you're not a kid of the 90s. You're one of the boys from Brazil.
They're remaking that. I hear there's a new version of that coming out soon.
And they're going to be the good guy time, right?
That was a good movie and good book.
Hitler is going to be played by.
I can't do modern Hollywood anymore. I just
Hitler is going to be played by Idris Elba.
Yeah. You got to have that representation.
Yeah.
No. This is the one time they'll allow a white actor to play a white guy. Because it goes with the narrative.
That's funny.
I'm spacing on the name. The tank guy.
Tank guy?
The
Rommel.
I was spacing on Rommel. I wanted a D name for some reason. Rommel will be played by Idris Elba.
But yeah, so I mean, you're talking alternative history and anything. You can. What's cool about doing historical weird, it doesn't have to be World War II, is that you have this you have this great like starting point, right? It's just history.
Yeah.
And then you can just twist the hell out of it and just go crazy.
And people love twisting all the weird like theology that was going on at the time, right? So, and it's close enough that people know what people are talking about, unlike even 90 years earlier or even 40 years earlier.
Yeah. I mean, and even if, you could say like the Viking stuff, you can use that hard history to just twist it, into whatever you want it to make it. That's what's weird. That's what weird war in general is just so cool. Is you have that wellspring of great background that you can just make however you want.
Are you familiar with imaginations? Like people taking mostly, it's usually done with kind of like horse, foot, and guns, kind of like Napoleonic, and people just make up tiny European principalities.
Oh, like
paint them whatever.
Yeah. I've done that.
Paint them up whatever color you want. Like, you know, it's a tiny little German princedom between France and Belgium, you know, and I've seen people do amazing stuff with that, and then work fantasy elements in over time. See you, Grim.
See you, man.
No, he left a minute ago.
Yeah.
Justin struck a nerve.
I struck the peak, but that was an actual thing that was going on in the 40s. People were actually saying that.
In the cult of personality, dude. It's a powerful thing, and you know, I mean, look at our.
It wasn't even just Germans that were saying that. It was like French and people. Like
it's that. Like you get a desperate people, desperate enough, and they're given any kind of possibility of betterment, or they'll fucking.
But from what I've seen, that was a thing going on in France, not Germany.
There was aspects of fascism and communism in almost all of the European nations.
Yeah,
and it was just like, who are we gonna back? You know, who are we gonna fight?
I mean, these were new systems then, and we hadn't seen how they would unfold. So I think, like you say, anybody who had been through World War One and the recovery from that was so long, and you know, so desperate in the case of Germany, that it's like, well, I guess we could try this solution or that solution, or you know,
like the final solution.
The actual stated final solution was to ship all the Jews to Madagascar.
The final solution.
So you know, Bo was talking about the Inquisition, right? I mean, that would be a great starting point. Like the people rise up against Christianity because the Inquisition was so draconic and evil. You know, their policing was so horrific that they're like, okay, maybe this Christianity thing isn't our thing. Let's go to something different. That would be a great weird. Or like the old gods, we're going back to the old gods, or we're going back. Let's try this Islam, you know. Let's try that. So you know, that'd be a great, you know, work in where you could like change history.
I think if people were revolting over the Inquisition, they wouldn't have gone to Islam.
Well, you know what I mean. It could just be anything. It could be pagan stuff. It could be. But yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. You could twist that almost to any kind of, like, you know, maybe democracies rise up because the monarchies were allowing the Inquisition to do what they were doing. So maybe you have the common folks are like, jog on, let's try something different.
To tell them I'm waving my hand as well.
That's a little Shadow. He's not so little anymore, huh, guys?
He is a shadow, though. You can barely make him out.
But yeah,
you remember the Saturday Night Live, Michael Myers and the other guy where they did that German thing? That's what he's wearing.
Fritz and Fritz, yeah, Hans and Fritz or something like that.
Which gymnasium did you go to?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of. Every time I type in, you know, Saturday Night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat, I cannot help thinking of all those great nights of Saturday Night Live I used to watch and how far it fell, and the fact that there's actually good people here tonight in the chat and, you know, at home, etc. You know, and you guys, of course, all here doing our own Saturday night thing, seeing as how far Saturday Night Live has fallen into absolute crap.
Well, I just find the humor on it. Guys. The humor on it now is very sterile, isn't it? Like,
it's generic.
It's also agenda, right?
If they were to watch it,
well, it was always agenda. But
if Lauren Michaels and that group were to watch this show, their heads would all simultaneously freaking explode. And I want to thank you guys for that, because that was I would pay money to see that. I would pay a lot of money.
It's a little bit too safe. I mean, I can sort of vaguely remember even when Stephen Colbert used to do things that were funny, and now it's like he's been body snatched. You know what I mean?
I don't
like,
know. It's just
yeah.
No, Grandma, that would be hysterical. Beatniks play RPGs would be a funny skit. Yeah, but you wouldn't see it there, or maybe you would. I hope not. But you heard it here first, right, Grandma?
We'll all wear some black, get some black berets, start smoking cigarettes, and say,
Whoa.
"Hey, man, there's a mimic down the road. What you gonna do?"
We're one T-shirt and 4 berets away from that already.
We're all wearing striped shirts and shit.
They had some really like out there bands on there back then as well. Like, the music that they would play would be a lot more inventive back then.
Hey, did you
as
guys
well.
see?
Now
you
they
guys
just
know-
get like the most top 40
Hip,
people, you
hip.
know. Like,
Did you guys see
And that's the indie
Avengers
scene.
last video? Avenger did a little bit of that. He was doing the bongos, and then he had his new gong. And I was just like, oh my god. It made me quite happy.
Yeah, I remember.
No more putting a whole fish in a blender on SNL. Bingo drums. Yeah.
I remember like when Fear was on there, and they like got there's a big riot on the
David
stage.
Bowie and,
yeah, David Bowie,
know-
but not just David Bowie. Like David Bowie with Klaus Nomi, the opera singer, like, and they were like dressed in like weird box suits. They looked like robots.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Yeah,
You know,
you couldn't
speaking
get
of-
famous like performers these days to do goofy stuff like that anymore.
Did you guys see The Man in the Moon with what's his name, that other psycho who just totally lost it? Carrie.
From Taxi?
Carrie. Yeah. Well, no. That's funny that you mentioned Taxi, because the old TV show Fridays. Brian, you might remember the show Fridays.
I remember Fridays. Yeah, it came on before Saturday Night Live, or after.
Well, it was on Friday. It was on Friday.
Oh, Friday. My bad. You're right.
I was in the studio. I was in the studio audience when what the hell was his name? The guy who played Latka. What was his name? I can't remember his name now. Holy crap!
Weird foreign guy.
No, he wasn't. He was. You know who I'm
You
talking
guys
about, right?
talking about Jim Carrey?
The
Carrey,
guy
who
he
did he
played
play?
in that movie.
The comedian from Texas.
Oh,
Andy Kaufman.
Kaufman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in
Yeah, he
the
was from
studio
Russia.
audience. Okay. When that same friend who got me backstage passes actually also got tickets to Fridays, a live taping of Fridays, right? So I
Okay.
ditched school to go to Hollywood, to be in the studio audience to watch Fridays. And who was on it but Andy Kaufman? Not just Andy Kaufman, but the night he freaking lost his shit about the drug jokes. That if you watch Man in the Moon, if you ever watch Man in the Moon, it's actually a really interesting movie about Andy Kaufman. He was a guest on Fridays, and they did this drug joke, and he just lost his shit on live TV, even though he was doing shit. You know what I mean? But he just lost it, and I was right there in the audience. And if you could ever find that show on like YouTube or something, that episode, the camera actually panned on me and my two friends, the girl and the guy, and we were all ditching high school to go to LA to go see that. So,
You know, I think my favorite Jim Carrey movie is Earth Girls Are Easy.
Really?
Mhm.
Who was it was him and I want to say Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
Gold-
and
oh,
Gina Davis.
Yeah.
Davis. when she
Oh,
was,
Earth Girls are
pretty-
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey, can
when
you
she was
believe
pretty.
she dated that guy? I heard that she and Goldblum dated. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There is no freaking
Yeah.
way. That was like when I heard what's her name, Laura Ingraham dated Dinesh D'Souza. I'm like, you're kidding me.
Well,
Laura
maybe she just
Ingraham,
wanted.
the reporter chick.
Maybe she just wanted to redeem.
Or advance her career, or I don't know.
Ticket? Redeem ticket?
But and another cool thing about that episode of Friday's Quarter Flash. Do you remember Quarter Flash?
No.
Brian, you don't remember that band,
Quarter Flash? Nuh-uh.
The lead singer plays. There was a chick, a really cute chick. She played the saxophone. It was a big MTV thing. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I was totally in love with her, and sure enough, she was on the show. Mage's Musing, welcome to the show. Just in time for me to say goodnight because it's 5 minutes after, and I've got to run over to the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen. But if anybody else wants to jump in and join these guys, because I know they're going to
bail too, dude. It's
okay.
I think I've corrupted
Right.
the
no,
panel
man.
too much.
I feel dirty. I need to go take a shower.
Yeah.
I feel too weird.
You know what? No worries, guys.
Next
This
time
was a
we
lot
talk
of fun.
weird stuff, it'll be Napoleonic era only.
This was so much fun. We're gonna have to do it again next week. Same bad time,
Yeah.
same bad
Part
channel.
three.
Brian just freaking poof
Yeah.
out of here,
Well,
man.
party on,
Thanks,
guys. But
No worries, guys. You know, oh shit, everybody just bailed on me. What a man. You guys are killing me. I thought I was hoping to come back like at 2:00 in the morning and they'd still be here chatting after the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen is over. But I got to run over there and talk about more weird stuff, quantum stuff, paranormal, aliens. I have no idea what's in store for me. I haven't talked to Nathan yet today. No worries, Justin. No worries. Just thanks for showing up. Maybe next time, we'll get Grim in here and you guys can duke it out. But no worries. Mages, you're always welcome. Grandma, I'll put the link in again next week. And my dog's going crazy. So I'm going to let you guys all go. Thank you so much for a great show. This was a blast. I needed it. Have a great weekend. And guys, if you're still watching, can you do me the favor? Go over to Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Division or Bear G Rock's channel. Go check out the game that I ran for the guys. I ran a Traveler game. I'd love to get everybody's input on it. Let me know where I can improve, what I did wrong, what I did right, and give me your opinion over there on their show, because I'm going to do part 2 Thursday, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I want to make sure that if I made any mistakes, I don't make them again, and that I can improve the game, because it was my first game online and ever as the GM, and it was my first time in front of a studio audience, and the first time I dungeon mastered a game in a little over a year. So if you can. It's just look up Bruce Lombardo or Baron G Rock. I'll try to put a link, but by the time I get around to it, I got to jump over to Nathan's show. But I'd appreciate it. Yeah, it was Mages. It was, and that just it just doesn't seem right. There's just something unholy about that kind of a union, because I had a major crush on Gina Davis until she lost her mind, I guess, as well. But everybody, love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys tomorrow over on the Cigar DM show, where we will be reviewing the 1970s classic Westworld. Hope to see you guys there. And as always, guys, happy trails.